Maths Through Programming, Part 2. We've introduced the idea that we can use code to manipulate numbers. Now we're going to explore that in a bit more depth. Maths is one of the most fundamental elements of computing. Arguably, all computers do is maths, as everything a computer does is just manipulating numbers behind the scenes. Basic maths operators, the big four. We've already looked at the plus operator. Let's introduce a few more to round out the big four of maths operators. That's addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Starting with subtraction, we have the standard dash. This works pretty much exactly how you'd expect it to. Much like for addition, we put it in between two numbers, or variables or expressions, remembering the space on either side, where the second value is subtracted from the first. Simple. We use this symbol to indicate negative values as well, only this time, no space. We put the symbol immediately before the value, and it becomes negative, or positive if the initial value would have been negative. Remember the rule of double negatives. Next, multiplication. You might be used to seeing this symbol here used for multiplication. This cross right here. But most programming languages don't use this. What if we had a variable called x? How would the program know which one we were talking about? So instead, we use this asterisk. Most keyboards, including the standard QWERTY keyboard, will have this on the 8 key. Beyond that, there's no surprises. Again, this is an infix operator, which means it goes between two values. Maybe you're used to seeing this symbol for division. Just like our last operator, this isn't the symbol that gets used in most programming languages, including Python. But unlike multiplication, this isn't done out of fear of confusion. It's just that most keyboards don't have a key for the division side. Instead, we use a simple /, which is meant to resemble fractions. After all, fractions are just division. This raises a good point. Python does support decimal numbers, and they're written according to convention with a dot, or period, or full stop, where the decimal place would be. Doing division quite often leaves us with decimal numbers, although if you're familiar with division by remainder, we'll look at that in just a moment. Further maths operators. We've seen the big four. Let's look at some more. Modular division, powers, and brackets, or parentheses. We just looked at division, where we divided our first value, our dividend, by the second, our divisor, to get some answer. We also know that this is full division. So, if our divisor is not a multiple of our dividend, then our answer will not be a whole number, because the second value does not fit into the first some whole amount of times without leaving some remainder. But what if it's exactly this remainder we care about? This is when we use modular division, for which we use the percentage symbol, found on most keyboards on the 5 key. This will give us the value of the remainder, called the quotient, when the dividend is divided by the divisor. This is not the same as doing full division, and then rounding down if we end up with a decimal. Modular division gives us the quotient, the remainder, and only the quotient. If we do modular division, where the divisor is a multiple of the dividend, i.e. when full division would have given us some whole number, then the quotient will be 0. Next up is powers. If you're unfamiliar, a power is when we take some number and multiply it by itself a certain number of times. This is most commonly seen in squaring, which is to the power of 2, and cubing, which is to the power of 3. But we can raise a number to the power of any other number. We can even use 0, negative numbers, and decimals. To do this, we use a double asterisk between two numbers, where the first number, the base, is raised to the power of the second number, the exponent. Brackets, or parentheses. While not technically an operator, now is a good time to talk about brackets. In Python, we can add brackets to an expression to explicitly state the order of operation. If you're familiar with BIDMAS, Python follows the exact same rules. If not, remember that Python will evaluate expressions in brackets first. Then, if there are any, powers, then division and multiplication, then addition and subtraction. Here are some examples where adding brackets is important. Remember that any expression in brackets will follow the same rules of order of evaluation. If we need to, we can even nest brackets, that is, have brackets within brackets, but we need to make sure that they're balanced.